He's a very credible opponent, but we're going to talk. 29-1-1 with 12 KOs, the WBC interim champion. Now, Gennady Golovkin, the WBA Super World and IBO 160-pound middleweight champion, is going to be taking on Martin Murray February the 21st, 2015. Martin Murray, 29-1-1 European fighter, 12 KOs, most notable fights. He had the draw with Felix Sturm. If you don't know, just to equate him real quick, he's the guy that De La Hoya should have lost to before Hopkins. And then he fought Sergio Martinez in the fight after Sergio Martinez got his career broken by 190 pound high Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So that one defeat was controversial. It was in Argentina, and this was Sergio Martinez's first fight back in Argentina, because basically at one point in time he was banned from the country. So it was in front of 50,000. He was already injured going into the fight. You have to go back and look at a documentary HBO called HBO 2 Days Sergio Martinez. That's all you got to type into Google. And basically there was a lot, of signs that he shouldn't have taken that fight. But long story short, that was the fight, where once again he got injured. I believe if I'm correct, it was the hand and the knee again. And if you don't know, most recently, he lost to Miguel Cotto in June of 2014. And that's because they didn't allow him to wear his stone cold, robotic knee brace. You ever see the Dark Knight, the second Batman movie with Christian Bale, and he had to put that knee brace on? That's the shit that Sergio Martinez needed. So to move on further, before I get back to Martin Murray, you got Miguel Cotto, who decided to take off for the rest of this year because he wanted to full training camp with Freddie Roach, and Freddie Roach is training Manny Pacquiao in the Philippines. Pacquiao fights on December the 22nd. Cotto's date was on December the 6th with HBO. Cotto is currently with HBO right now, and with HBO and with Top Rank right now. Now, as far as contracts, no, he's just working with them for right now. So he's allowed one voluntary defense, and then he has to face Golovkin. Now, we're going to get to that. Let's go back to Martin Murray. Martin Murray is a European fighter. A lot of people don't know who Martin Murray, Americans don't know who Martin Murray is. And I've noticed that already I'm seeing in my comments on my page, and then all my social media stuff is right down below. You see that a lot of people like, Martin who? And it's like, that's why I often talk about how we need a network over here or somebody to show those overseas fights, because it's not helping the fighters when they come over here and they can't sell tickets. And it's like, if one person just, invest in that, I think it can help the sport of boxing. But long story short, Martin Murray is good. Now, what I've noticed about Golovkin is each fight, he's fighting someone somewhat better than the last. Marco Antonio Rubio, he hadn't lost since Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And according to a friend over here, Errol Jarrett, they just pulled him out of the Undertaker's coffin. He didn't want to fight. And you saw he came in there fat. And yes, the count was a little fast. But overall, he was going to get the shit knocked out of him anyway, regardless. So you got him fighting Marco Antonio Rubio. You got him fighting. Who did he fight for that? Was it Ousmane Adama? Ousmane Adama, okay. I forgot what that was for, but that was for something. And also, that happened in Monte Carlo. This fight, Golovkin and Martin Murray, is supposed to happen in Monaco, but it's going to be on HBO. So you got Curtis Stevens, right? And I'm not going to put them in order. You got Curtis Stevens, right? You got Gabriel Rosado. You got Matthew Macklin, Naruhiro Ashida. And if you don't know, remember, he the one that gave James Kirkland his only loss. So he's been getting significant fights. And when I look at the fact that Martin Murray's career, as far as, even though his last 4 fights actually, since he fought Sergio Martinez, hasn't been big fights. As far as he's been fighting guys lower than him on a lower scale. But if you look at his record, that one defeat he has was against Sergio Martinez. You get me? And despite the fact that Sergio Martinez was injured or not, that fight should have been at least a draw to me. Remember, there was one knockdown that didn't even count, if I'm correct. So if you can say that Miguel Cotto's win over Sergio Martinez was legit because Sergio Martinez was injured then too. So what I'm saying is, you can look at him and say, okay, well, Daniel Gill, No, Daniel Gill, actually, let me correct myself. Daniel Gill has the best resume of the fighters that, outside of Gabriel Rosado, that he has fought, meaning Golovkin. So now, you know, you had Matthew Macklin, who has some good names on his resume, Marco Antonio Rubio. Basically, he only had David Lemieux. He gave David Lemieux his first defeat, and people think David Lemieux, that's the guy who's going to be fighting Gabriel Rosado, is invincible. You know, but one thing about him is he kind of reminds me of Chris Eubank Jr. a little bit because he fights in burst. Even though he's a little more disciplined and I'm going to say far more skilled than Eubank Jr. right now, still, you know, he kind of reminds me of him. Like if you take away that close to aggressiveness from them, then, you know, it's not really too much there. But now, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but there's some other reason why. Now, let's go back to Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto is the 160-pound champion of the world, meaning that's when they say, okay, who's the 160-pound champion? His name should come out your mouth. But fans know that we accept Golovkin as the full 160-pound champion. Now, I can't talk about Jermaine Taylor. Since he's an Al Heyman fighter and Al Heyman has some beef with HBO, I'm going to take him out of the equation. But you got Andy Lee versus Matvey Korobov. They're not involved in politics, and they have been fighting on HBO top rank cards. Golovkin can go after that WBO title. So he's saying that he wants to clean out the division. Now, if Cotto versus Canelo in May is the next fight Cotto takes, which for some reason, honestly, guys, I doubt it. Cotto is just not that guy. He's not that guy. You know, I respect Cotto, and yes, he has a chance to beat Canelo, but he's not that guy that's going to fight Sergio Martinez, then come back the next year and, you know, fight Canelo. So, and then it's going to all depend on like if the title's going to be on the line or not. You know, so Canelo already said he would fight Golovkin. So, and it's crazy. I'm not writing Martin Murray off per se, but at the same time, I'm telling you about what the landscape is. So, you got Cotto who can fight one voluntary before the WB says, okay, now you got to fight Golovkin and get the deal together, or we go into a purse bid. Canelo and Cotto, the winner of that, if it's for the 160-pound title, would finally be able to fight Golovkin, or in the meantime, if something happens where they tell Golovkin, all right, we're going to pay you off for now, and we're going to fight you later, or whatever the case may be, then Golovkin can fight Matvey Korobov or Andy Lee. You see what I'm saying? So I see what he says. I see what he means when he says, you know, he wants to clean out the division because he has a chance to do so. Now, as far as the IBF title, Jermaine Taylor, honestly, it would be a good fight for us all, but honestly, let's be realistic. Thank you, Al Heyman. Let's be realistic. Now, let's bring up the Andre Ward situation. Right now it's October the 26th, 2014, and Andre Ward is still, he's in an internal contract. Eternal. Dan Goosen took it to the grave, man. He talking about retiring, and then the WBA is going to officially, they're going to retire him. They're going to say, listen, you retired, bro. He going to get stripped of his belt and everything. So how can we keep talking about Golovkin ducked Andre Ward when Golovkin can't make a fight, period? I mean, Ward can't make a fight, period, even if he wanted to. You can't negotiate with that shit. I'm sure that the fight would have had a better chance of happening if Ward was active. Obviously. That's just common sense. So, as it stands right now, I'm going to say this. We got to see if Martin Murray can take a punch. Can he take a punch? Now, he can box. And he can wrestle a little bit on the inside. And if you notice, fighters don't tie Golovkin up. They back foot and they usually retreat. They don't tie him up. If Martin Murray can tie him up, you know, and Martin Murray can become the boxer that he is, because remember, he only got 12 KOs, you know, so he's going to have to rely on movement, and he's going to have to rely on one punch that's going to set him apart from everybody else. You know, something that he can continually, you know, connect with, maybe the left hook or something, because Golovkin has somewhat good defense, yes, I admit, but it's not proven good defense. Why? Because he hasn't been in with anyone that hasn't fully, you know, like been afraid of him. You know, and actually tried to really fight him, except in my opinion, once again, Rosado. At the beginning, Daniel Gill was, but once he tasted that power, he was like, oh, I'm cool. So Mark Murray has a chance, but it all depends on, how is he going to approach the fight? Is he going to approach the fight like all the other Golovkin opponents, even though they tell us they don't be scared? They go in there and they be looking scared. They don't be wanting to get up. They be like, nah, man, I'm cool. What's the point? So, once again, to run it down, I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live, and I cover every single major fight live. HBO 24/7, all access, weigh-ins, predictions. I'm now going to the press conferences, weigh-ins, and all that stuff, getting the interviews. Please subscribe. The website right below, Real Combat Media. If you have, look, this is what I do. On the like page and on the Real Combat Media page, we post the articles basically to validate what I'm saying. And then, what's wrong with my camera? My bad, guys. And then below, at the very bottom, is the like page where I actually post. I'm sorry about the camera, the tripod messed up. Where I actually post the fights that I'm talking about. So if you want to see full fights, and also if you want like breaking news and stuff like that, and you want to keep up with what's going on in the sport, the like page is right below. All my social media information is right below. My social media is active. I'm not just telling you to come there, for just to do it. Like a lot of that explains, my social media explains who I am and the guy is, and who the guy is that's talking about boxing for all the people that want to assume. So, long story short, please subscribe. T Street Controversy, T Street Controversy Live.